The void of space was silent, cold and endless, but near the border of the Orion expanse, that silence was broken. Hundreds of alien ships floated together, their hulls shining like silver blades. They were gathered for one reason: to witness humanity's first warship, the HSS Valiant. From the alien command ship Seraphon, Admiral Vurath looked at the human vessel on his screen. His eyes glowed blue with amusement. "Is that it?" He laughed, his voice echoing through the hall. "That piece of junk? They call that a warship?" The other alien officers burst into laughter. Across the fleet, thousands of comms channels opened, mocking, laughing, calling the humans primitive, foolish, and desperate. "They built it from scrap metal," one alien said. "Look at its size. My patrol ship is bigger," another joked. Even the lower decks of alien ships were filled with laughter. The entire coalition, 5 different species, united not by fear, but by mockery. On the HSS Valiant, the air was heavy and quiet. The ship looked small compared to the alien armada. Its grey hull was old-fashioned, its design boxy and rough, no sleek curves, no glowing alien elegance. Just pure human engineering, simple, sharp and solid. Captain Raylan Holt stood at the bridge window, hands behind his back. His face was calm, unreadable. His crew of 42 humans worked quietly, avoiding eye contact. The laughter from the alien fleet echoed through open frequencies. They could hear every insult. "Captain," said Lieutenant Mara Chen, her voice tight, "they've been broadcasting mockery for 6 minutes straight." Holt didn't move. His eyes stayed on the stars. "Let them laugh," he said softly. "They don't understand what they're seeing." The young technician at the back, Juno Reed, looked nervous. "Sir, their ships are huge. Hundreds of them. Why are we just standing here?" Holt finally turned around, his grey eyes cold but steady. "Because sometimes," he said, "you learn more from laughter than from war." The crew exchanged confused looks. Holt walked to the center console and placed his hand on the screen. The ship hummed faintly. "Status of the core?" he asked. "Stable," replied the chief engineer, "but still reading unusual energy pulses. It's not behaving like before." Holt nodded slightly. "Good." Outside, the alien fleet was positioning itself in a wide circle. They wanted a show. They wanted to test this human ship. The coalition called it a peaceful demonstration, but everyone knew it was a threat. The alien commander's voice boomed through every frequency. "Human vessel, this is Admiral Vurath of the Orion Coalition. Your warship has entered restricted space. We will now demonstrate the difference between your kind and ours. Stand by for a harmless display of superior firepower." On the bridge, Mara gritted her teeth. "Harmless display? They're charging weapons." "Steady," Holt said quietly. His tone was calm, too calm. No shields yet. The first plasma beam hit the Valiant's hull. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew across the bridge. Another beam followed, cutting across the hull. Metal screamed. "Shields at 40%, shouted the engineer. Still, Holt didn't flinch. "Hold position." Through the main window, the alien ships glowed bright, firing in turns like children playing a cruel game. The laughter on open comms grew louder. One alien voice joked, "Maybe they'll surrender before they melt." Another added, "Humans should stick to their dirt planet." The Valiant's crew was silent, teeth clenched, eyes filled with anger and shame. Lieutenant Mara turned toward Holt. "Sir, we can't take much more. Permission to fire back." Holt looked at her, calm, collected. "Denied." She stared at him, shocked. "Denied, sir?" He raised a hand. "They think we're weak. Let them." Outside, the ship drifted, battered, smoking, its hull glowing red. It looked defeated. The alien admirals cheered and clapped. "End of the human experiment," said Vurath. "Mark this day in history." But deep inside the HSS Valiant, far below the bridge, something began to stir. A faint vibration passed through the metal decks. A hidden chamber, sealed behind layers of armor, came alive with light. The hum grew deeper, a sound like a heartbeat made of thunder. Back on the bridge, one of the engineers frowned. "Captain, there's something happening in the lower decks. Energy levels are rising, but not from the reactors." Holt's eyes narrowed. "The core," he whispered.
"Yes, sir."
It's reacting to the damage. The readings are impossible." Captain Holt straightened his uniform. His voice turned cold, firm. "Lieutenant," he said, "open private channel to Earth Command." Mara hesitated, then nodded. "Channel open." Holt leaned forward. "This is Captain Holt of the Valiant. The aliens have fired the first shot. The demonstration is complete. Requesting permission to proceed with Black Protocol." There was a long pause. Then a crackled voice from Earth replied, "Captain Holt, are you certain? The Black Protocol has never been tested." Holt's eyes turned toward the window, toward the laughing fleet. "I'm certain," he said. "They think we're primitive. It's time to remind them what humans do when they're cornered." The voice on the other end was silent for a moment. Then permission granted. Black Protocol authorized. The channel closed. The laughter outside continued, loud, cruel, endless. Holt looked at his crew. "Brace yourselves. What comes next? They won't laugh at." And deep within the ship, the hum turned into a roar. The stars outside the HSS Valiant glowed cold and distant. The ship floated silently, smoke curling from its damaged hull. The alien fleet surrounding it moved closer, shining like a wall of light and death. Inside the Valiant, alarms still blinked red. Sparks flew from a broken console. The crew worked fast, trying to cool overheated systems and reroute power to life support. Lieutenant Mara Chen wiped sweat from her face. "Shields are gone, Captain. Engines at 40%. We can't take another hit." Captain Raylan Holt stood near the bridge window, arms crossed, his eyes fixed on the massive alien ships ahead. His voice was calm, but his words carried iron. "Hold position. No retaliation yet." The crew looked at him in disbelief. The aliens had already fired twice. The Valiant was barely holding together, but Holt didn't blink. His face was unreadable, like stone. On the alien flagship Seraphon, Admiral Vurath grinned. "Pathetic," he said. "They think silence will save them." He turned to his weapons officer. "Fire again. This time full charge. Let them feel what true power means." Moments later, the black of space flashed bright blue. A massive plasma beam struck the Valiant across its side. The ship spun slightly, alarms howling. "Hull breach in Sector 6, shouted the engineer. "We've lost 2 decks." Another impact. "Radiation leak on Deck 4. The ship trembled. Still, Captain Holt didn't move. On the open channel, alien laughter echoed again. Loud, cruel, full of mockery. "Maybe humans should build ships out of paper next time," one alien voice joked. Another replied, "Or maybe they should just surrender and go home to their mud planet." The bridge crew's anger was boiling. Mara slammed her fist on the console. "Captain, permission to fire back." "Please, sir." Holt slowly turned his head toward her. His voice was low, steady. "Denied." Her jaw clenched. "Sir, with respect, we're being torn apart." He looked back at the window. "Not yet. Let them think we're broken. The longer they laugh, the harder the silence will hit." The crew fell quiet. Only the sound of alarms and the hum of the engines filled the room. Then Holt said softly, "Initiate Black Protocol." For a moment no one moved. The words hung in the air like thunder. The ship's AI, Erebus, came online. Its voice was calm and deep, almost human. The Black Protocol confirmed. "Warning, this procedure has never been tested in live combat." "Proceed?" Holt replied. "Proceed." Far below the bridge, in the heart of the Valiant, machinery began to move. Hidden doors opened. Cables detached. A sealed chamber lit up, revealing the glowing black sphere that powered the ship. The Singularity Core. It pulsed like a heart, each beat sending waves of unseen energy through the hull. "Core charge increasing," Erebus reported. "Current level 12% and rising." The engineer looked worried. "Sir, energy output is unstable. If it goes beyond 30, we risk tearing the ship apart." "Keep it steady," Holt ordered. "No one touches the fail-safes unless I say so." Outside, the alien fleet noticed the energy spike. "Admiral," a sensor officer said nervously, "the human ship's reactor output is increasing rapidly." Vurath frowned. "Let them try. They're desperate." "Prepare another volley," he smirked, confident. The Valiant looked half dead, burning, limping. It couldn't possibly fight back. Inside the human ship, the lights flickered. The crew could feel the vibration growing stronger. The deck hummed beneath their boots. "What's happening?" Juno, the young technician, asked, his voice shaking. Holt replied quietly, "The Valiant is waking up." The AI's voice echoed again. "Core synchronization complete. Black Protocol entering stage 2. Defensive systems reconfiguring. On the bridge, the displays changed. Strange new readings appeared. Alien numbers replaced by human symbols the crew had never seen. The ship's interface looked alive." Mara frowned. "Captain, this system, it's not in our database." "Because it was never meant to be," Holt said. "This ship wasn't built for show. It was built for survival." Outside, the alien fleet opened fire again, dozens of plasma beams cutting through the dark. But this time, something strange happened. The Valiant's hull shimmered, a faint red glow spreading across its surface. The beams hit and vanished. The energy rippled across the armor like waves on water. Inside the alien command center, alarms blared. "Admiral, the human ship just absorbed our attack." "What?" Vurath roared. "That's impossible." But the data didn't lie. The Valiant was still standing, barely moving but alive. On the bridge, Mara's eyes widened. "Sir, we just absorbed plasma fire at full strength." Holt gave a small, grim smile. "Good, then we're ready," Erebus spoke again. "Core charge at 40%. Energy field stable. Recommend activation of weapon systems." Holt nodded. "Not yet. Let them come closer." The alien ships began to form a tighter circle, curious and angry. They wanted to see what the humans were doing. They thought they were watching a dying ship make one last desperate move. "Admiral," said one alien officer, "the human ship's weapons are still offline." "Should we finish them?" Vurath leaned back, smiling. "Yes, end it." Every ship in the alien fleet began charging weapons. Thousands of bright points lit up in the dark. On the Valiant's bridge, Holt looked at his crew, faces pale but steady. "This is it," he said. "Once we fire, there's no turning back." Mara asked quietly, "What if it fails?" He looked at her and said simply, "Then we die remembered." The hum of the core grew louder. The lights dimmed. The ship's AI whispered through the comms. "Black Protocol Stage 3, ready for engagement." The crew felt it. The air, the pressure, the raw power waiting to be unleashed. And as the alien fleet opened fire again, Captain Holt spoke his next command. "Erebus," he said, his voice calm but cold as steel. "Prepare the Hellfire lance." The AI replied, "Weapon systems online." The stars outside flared white. The stars around the HSS Valiant seemed to hold their breath. The alien fleet hung in space, forming a ring of light and fire. Hundreds of cannons glowed, all pointed at the small, wounded human ship. Inside the Valiant's bridge, Captain Raylan Holt stood silent. The hum of the ship grew louder every second, a deep, living sound that shook the floor. The crew felt it in their bones. Something powerful, something alive. The AI's voice, calm and cold, filled the room. "Core charge at 70%. Structural limits approaching." Lieutenant Mara Chen stared at the readings. "Captain, the power levels are going off the scale. If this continues, the hull won't hold." Holt didn't look away from the stars. His face was hard as stone. "It will hold. It was built for this." Down in the heart of the ship, deep beneath layers of steel, the Singularity Core awakened. The chamber was dark. Only the pulsing red light of the core filled the space. The engineers watched from behind the reinforced glass, their faces pale. The black sphere inside the chamber rotated slowly, lines of crimson light cutting across its surface like veins. Every pulse released invisible waves that rippled through the ship. "Captain," reported the chief engineer through the comm, "the containment field is bending. Not breaking, just bending around itself." "I've never seen physics behave like this," Holt replied. "That's because this isn't alien tech. It's human." The alien sensors picked up the strange readings instantly. "Admiral Vurath!" shouted one of his officers. "The human ship's energy signature just changed. It's no longer nuclear, it's gravitational." Vurath frowned. "What nonsense is that? No species can control gravity like this." "Sir, it's increasing exponentially." The Admiral leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. Target it again. I want it destroyed before it finishes whatever it's doing. The alien fleet opened fire. Beams of plasma, missiles, railgun shots, a storm of light and death. But as the attacks reached the HSS Valiant, something impossible happened. The air around the ship rippled like water. The beams bent away. The missiles curved off course. Space itself seemed to warp, twisting the path of every incoming weapon. The bridge crew stared in disbelief. Mara whispered, "It's bending space." "Around itself," Holt nodded slowly. "The core isn't just power, it's control." Outside, the Valiant's dull grey armor began to glow faintly, red lines spreading across the hull, forming strange human-made runes. The old ship that everyone mocked now looked alive, breathing energy into the void. Inside, the lights dimmed. The AI's voice spoke again, deeper now, as if something inside it had awakened too. "Erebus operational. Core synchronization at 92%. Weapon systems primed." "Captain," Mara said, "the ship, it feels different. Like it's listening." Holt glanced at her. "That's because it is. Erebus was never just an AI. It's a co-pilot, one that learns from us," the engineer shouted over comms. "Sir, the energy readings are climbing beyond known scales. If it releases that much power, it won't release it," Holt said. "It'll shape it," the alien admiral was shouting commands now. "All ships, concentrate fire. That thing is not dying. Kill it now." Hundreds of alien ships lit up the void again, beams and blasts filling the dark with deadly color. But the Valiant didn't move. The attacks vanished into the red shimmer around it, absorbed, consumed. Erebus spoke again. "Energy absorption complete. Power reserves at maximum. Awaiting combat directive." Captain Holt gave a single nod. "Engage offensive systems. Prepare the Hellfire lance." The bridge went silent. Everyone stared at him. Mara whispered, "Sir, the Hellfire lance? That weapon was only theoretical." Holt's voice was calm, cold. "Then it's time to make it real." The AI responded, "Hellfire system charging. Estimated time to full capacity, 30 seconds. The lights on the bridge turned red. The hum of the ship became a low, thunderous growl. In those few seconds, the alien fleet realized what was coming. "Admiral, their forward weapon array is opening." Vurath roared, "Evasive maneuvers. All ships scatter." But it was already too late. The Valiant's forward section shifted, metal plates sliding apart, revealing a long, glowing barrel of pure white light. The ship's power condensed, folding reality into a single point. The stars around it flickered, dimmed. Holt raised his hand. "Fire!" The Hellfire lance unleashed. A beam of crimson-white energy burst forward, silent, pure, unstoppable. It sliced through the nearest alien battleship, like a blade through paper. The ship didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, cut clean in half. The beam continued, tearing through 2 more capital ships before fading into the void. Silence followed. Even the alien fleet froze, shocked, terrified. 3 ships gone, thousands of lives, erased in a single second. On the alien flagship, Vurath could only stare. Impossible. "No weapon can do that," his officer whispered, trembling. "Admiral, the human ship's power output just dropped to 0. They fired and survived." Vurath's voice was shaking now. "Pull the fleet back now!" On the Valiant's bridge, the crew sat in stunned silence. Juno whispered, "We did that?" Mara looked at Holt. "Sir, that weapon, it's beyond anything we've seen." Holt nodded slowly. "That's because it wasn't built for war. It was built to remind the galaxy why they should never laugh at us again." The AI's voice came again, calm as ever. "Core temperature stabilizing. Power reserves at 60%. Enemy fleet retreating." Holt turned back to the stars, his eyes cold and hard. "They'll run now, but they'll be back. And when they do, humanity will be ready." Outside, the alien fleet was scattering, fleeing from the primitive ship that just unleashed hell itself. And in the blackness of space, the HSS Valiant floated silently, small, scarred, but undefeated. Its red glow slowly faded, leaving only one message burned across the minds of every alien who witnessed it. Humans are not primitive. Humans endure. The alien fleet drifted in chaos. What moments ago was a sea of glowing confidence had turned into confusion and fear. 3 of their largest ships were gone, not destroyed, but erased like they had never existed. On the bridge of the HSS Valiant, the red emergency lights faded back to normal. The hum of the ship quieted. The air was heavy, thick with shock. Lieutenant Mara Chen whispered, "We just cut through 3 capital ships." With one shot. No one replied. Even the AI Erebus stayed silent for a few seconds before calmly reporting, "Weapon systems cooling. Core at 58%. No damage sustained." Captain Raylan Holt stood still, staring at the view of the burning debris outside. His expression didn't change. No pride, no relief, just quiet focus. "Status of enemy movement?" he asked. The technician, Juno Reed, checked the radar. "They're pulling back, sir, but—" "Wait, several signatures are regrouping." Holt nodded slightly. "They're not done yet." On the alien flagship Seraphon, Admiral Vurath slammed his claws against the console. "3 ships gone?" "In seconds," he shouted. "How can a primitive species do this?" His officers were panicking. "Sir, the humans use some kind of space-folding weapon. Our sensors can't read the energy type." Vurath glared at them, his voice full of rage. "I don't care what it is. Every ship, full power. Surround that human vessel and crush it." Across the void, hundreds of alien ships began to move again. They closed in from all sides, forming a glowing storm of light and energy. The Valiant was surrounded. Inside the human ship, tension filled the bridge. "Captain," said Mara, "the enemy fleet is forming attack formation Beta 9, a full strike pattern." "That's over 200 ships." Holt turned toward the AI console. "Erebus, what are our options?" The AI replied, calm and deep. "Hellfire systems require 90 seconds to recharge." "Defensive systems online? Shall I engage?" "Do it." The ship came alive again. The outer hull shimmered with red light. Faint rings of distorted space formed around it, invisible waves bending light and energy. The first alien volley hit. Hundreds of plasma beams and missiles rained down. But the space around the Valiant twisted, folding their attacks away like they were sliding off invisible glass. Explosions rippled harmlessly across empty space. Inside the alien command decks, panic began to spread. "Sir, their shields aren't shields. It's like they're bending reality," Vurath growled. "Then we'll crush them with mass. Ram them if you must." 3 alien cruisers broke formation and charged directly toward the Valiant. The human crew could see them coming, glowing blue, engines burning hot. "Captain," Mara said urgently, "they're coming in fast." Holt's voice was steady. "Hold, don't fire yet," the engineer shouted. "If they hit us—" "I said hold." The cruisers came closer, closer. At the last second, Holt gave the order. "Erebus, activate the graviton field." "Confirmed." The space around the Valiant pulsed. Suddenly, the charging alien ship slowed. Not by choice, but because space itself was pulling against them. The massive vessels twisted, crushed under invisible weight. Their hulls bent like tin. Within seconds, the 3 ships imploded, collapsing into glowing fragments. The crew stared in stunned silence. Juno whispered, "We crushed them." Without even firing, Mara looked at Holt. "Sir, this isn't a warship. It's a monster." Holt didn't answer. His eyes stayed on the alien fleet ahead. "Prepare for second Hellfire charge." On the alien flagship, fear was now open panic. "Admiral, half the fleet is gone. The human ship isn't taking any damage." Vurath bared his teeth. "Then we use everything. Fire every weapon. Drain the reactors if you have to. That ship dies here." Thousands of energy signatures lit up the dark. The sky above the Valiant turned into a storm of plasma and fire. The bridge shook, alarms flashing, but the hull-held Erebus reported, "Hellfire Lance charged. Energy output at 100%. Awaiting target." Holt took a deep breath. "Target the flagship." Mara hesitated. "The Seraphon." "Yes, let their leader feel what we felt." The AI locked on. "Target acquired." Holt raised his hand slowly. "Fire." The Valiant unleashed its second Hellfire Lance. A blinding beam of white and red energy ripped through space, silent, pure, unstoppable. It hit the Seraphon dead center. For a brief second, the massive alien flagship glowed, then folded inward like paper burning from the edges. No explosion, just light, and then nothing. The alien fleet broke. Ships scattered in every direction. The laughter that once filled the comms was replaced with screams and static. Inside the Valiant, the crew sat frozen, breathing hard. The bridge was lit only by the dim glow of the core. Erebus spoke softly. "Enemy fleet retreating. No remaining organized command signatures detected." Juno exhaled slowly. "We won." But Holt didn't smile. "No, this isn't victory. This is a message." Mara turned toward him. "A message to who?" Holt looked at the empty stars. "To the galaxy. To every species that laughed at us." He walked to the front window, staring at the fading light of destroyed ships. "They called us primitive, weak, uncivilized. They forgot what makes us human." Mara whispered, "And what's that, sir?" He turned his head slightly. "We fight when we shouldn't be able to." The AI interrupted softly. "Captain, the core's energy signature is fluctuating. Prolonged use may cause instability." Holt's tone didn't change. "We'll worry about that later. For now, set course toward the nearest colony beacon. Let them see what a primitive ship looks like when it survives the impossible." Erebus replied. "Course set. Engines engaged." Outside, the Valiant began to move, slow, steady, leaving behind a field of glowing wreckage. The once laughing alien fleet was now silent, running for the edges of the system. And as the human warship drifted through the ashes, one truth echoed across the stars. They laughed at the primitive human warship, until it unleashed Hellfire. Silence filled the void where the great Orion fleet once stood. Hundreds of alien warships gone. Only wreckage and drifting fragments remained, glowing faintly against the darkness of space. And in the center of that graveyard floated a single human ship, the HSS Valiant. Smoke still rose from its damaged hull, but its engines burned bright, steady, defiant. Captain Raylan Holt stood at the bridge window. His reflection looked tired, but his eyes still burned with quiet fire. Lieutenant Mara Chen stepped beside him. "Sir," she said softly, "the alien fleet is gone. We're the only ones left here." Holt nodded slowly. "Then we hold this ground. Let every sensor in this sector record what happened." Mara frowned. "You want them to see this?" "Yes," Holt replied. "Let them see what happens when they laugh at humanity." Far away, across alien worlds and colonies, the news began to spread. On the blue gas planet Tyras, alien broadcasters replayed the footage of the battle. The humans' ship, the so-called Valiant, destroyed the Orion fleet, said a trembling anchor. "Experts are calling it impossible, but the evidence is clear. The humans have unleashed a weapon beyond known science. On the crystalline world of Velkar, merchants closed their trading posts. A frightened alien whispered, 'The humans are no longer prey. They're predators now.' Across the Empire worlds, panic spread like wildfire. Alien scientists tried to explain it. Gravitational distortion, dimensional collapse, quantum destabilization. But no answer was enough. One thing became clear. The humans had power. And nobody knew how far it went. Back on the Valiant, the crew sat in silence, exhausted. The ship's AI, Erebus, spoke softly. "Core energy at 41%. Hull integrity stabilized. Suggest entering recovery mode." Holt shook his head. "Not yet. Keep the systems online. The galaxy is watching." Juno, the young technician, looked up from his console. "Sir, do you think they'll attack again?" Holt gave a faint smile. "Not today. Fear will hold them back longer than our weapons ever could." Mara leaned forward, scanning the incoming transmissions. "Captain, there are broadcasts everywhere. Every alien news channel is showing the footage. Some are calling us monsters." Holt turned toward her. "Good, let them. Fear is a language they understand." Meanwhile, in the alien capital world Orcal Prime, the surviving admirals of the Orion Coalition gathered. Admiral Vurath's hologram flickered in front of them, his face pale, his pride broken. "The humans, they destroyed us," he admitted quietly. "Our ships, our technology, useless. Their weapon tore through space itself. One alien general growled, "We should retaliate before they strike again." Another shouted, "With what? Half our fleets are gone." The room descended into chaos, anger, fear, confusion. Then an older alien, his skin pale and scarred, spoke calmly. "You fools! This is not about weapons. This is about will. Humans fight like no one else. They build monsters out of metal and hope. They don't fear death. They embrace it." The room fell silent. No one had an answer. Back on the Valiant, the atmosphere was tense but calm. The crew gathered in the command room, dimly lit by the red glow of the core's energy pulse. Holt stood in front of them. "We've done something no one believed possible," he said. "But victory isn't peace. Fear spreads fast, and fear makes enemies desperate." Mara asked, "So what do we do now, sir?" He looked at her. "We prepare. Because this isn't over." Erebus interrupted. "Captain, incoming transmission, coded human frequency." "Put it through," Holt ordered. The screen lit up with the symbol of Earth Command. A voice came through, calm and official. "Captain Holt, this is High Command. We've received the battle data. The entire world has seen what the Valiant did." Holt said nothing. The voice continued. "You've changed everything. The Council wants to debrief you immediately." Holt's tone was flat. "Tell them we'll report once the ship's systems are stable. For now, we hold position. Understood? And Captain, Earth is proud of you." The signal ended. Mara smiled faintly. "You just made history, sir." Holt looked back at the stars. "History doesn't matter. Survival does." Hours later, the Valiant drifted silently, engines low, systems stable. In the deep chamber below the decks, the Singularity core pulsed quietly, its red glow softer now, like a heartbeat at rest. Erebus monitored it carefully. "Captain," the AI said, "I'm detecting fluctuations in the core's energy pattern. It appears alive." Holt frowned. "Alive?" "Yes. It is evolving, adapting after combat. I believe it's learning from the battle." Mara turned, eyes wide. "You mean it's getting stronger?" Erebus replied, "Affirmative." A cold silence filled the bridge. Holt whispered, "Then maybe humanity isn't the only thing they should fear." Far beyond the Orion expanse, in the hidden councils of alien empires, new plans were being drawn. Massive fleets began construction again, larger, faster, deadlier. But for the first time in history, those fleets weren't built to fight each other. They were being built for one purpose only, to prepare for the humans. Whispers echoed in alien tongues across the galaxy. They built a ship that bends space. They made a weapon that eats stars. They are not primitive. They are dangerous. And as the HSS Valiant drifted toward the edge of human territory, the captain stood alone at the window, looking out at the stars. "They laughed at us," he said quietly. "They thought we were nothing." He placed his hand on the cold glass. "But now they finally understand what we've always known." He paused. "Humans may be small, but when we fight, the universe trembles." The stars outside flickered, reflecting on the battered hull of the ship. The symbol of Earth painted on its side still shone, burned but not broken. The Valiant continued its slow journey home, carrying not just victory, but a new legend. And across the galaxy, one name was whispered with fear and respect: the Valiant Protocol. The stars around the HSS Valiant burned cold and silent. Days had passed since the great battle, but peace never came. Every human station, every colony, and every satellite picked up the same terrifying message. The alien empires were uniting. For the first time in galactic history, enemies who had fought each other for centuries had set aside their hatred to face a single new threat: humanity. On the Valiant's bridge, the air was heavy. Warning lights flickered across the panels, and the soft hum of the ship's damaged systems filled the silence. Captain Raylan Holt stood before the main viewport, watching as distant stars blinked out one by one, covered by incoming fleets. Lieutenant Mara Chen broke the silence. "Captain, long-range sensors confirm what we feared. The alien coalition is moving toward us. Over 3,000 ships, sir. All armed." The room froze. 3,000. Against one, Technician Juno whispered, "That's The whole galaxy. Holt didn't move. His voice was calm. Then the whole galaxy came to the wrong place. The Valiant's AI, Erebus, spoke softly, its voice echoing through the bridge. Captain, our core integrity is unstable. The singularity is still evolving after the last battle. Further stress may result in total containment failure. Holt turned his head slightly. Define failure. Erebus hesitated for a fraction of a second. Complete energy collapse. Total ship destruction. Possible chain reaction in nearby space. Mara looked at Holt, fear in her eyes. Sir, if the core breaks, it could destroy this entire sector. Holt's expression didn't change. Then we make sure it happens on our terms. The alien coalition's fleet appeared out of hyperspace like a tidal wave of fire. Massive dreadnoughts, cruisers and carriers stretched across the void. Their energy signatures lit up every sensor in the system. An open transmission cut through the static. This is Grand Admiral Vurath of the Orion Coalition. Human vessel Valiant, surrender your technology and crew. Your defiance ends here. Holt slowly stepped forward. This is Captain Holt of the HSS Valiant. We don't surrender. Ever, he ended the call. The alien fleets began to move. Thousands of plasma cannons lit up like a second sun. The first barrage hit the Valiant like a storm. The ship shook violently, alarms screaming across every deck. Panels exploded. Smoke filled the air. Juno shouted over the noise, "Shields at 30%. Hull breach on deck 9. Mara grabbed the console. "Sir, we can't hold this much longer." Holt stood firm. His voice was steady. "Target their command ships. Give them something to remember." The Valiant returned fire. Hellfire lances roared from its sides, carving through the nearest alien cruisers. Each shot tore space apart, creating shockwaves that ripped smaller ships to pieces. But for every enemy destroyed, 10 more appeared. Erebus spoke again, voice trembling with static. "Captain, the core is reaching redline. Continued firing will cause an overload." Holt stared at the burning void ahead. "Then it's time." Mara turned toward him, confused. "Time for what, sir?" Holt looked around the bridge, at his crew, tired but loyal, standing at their stations. He spoke softly, but every word carried weight. "Time to finish this. Humanity can't let this weapon fall into alien hands. We've come too far. We've shown them what we are. Now we show them what we'll give up to protect it." Mara shook her head, tears in her eyes. "You can't mean—" Holt nodded. "I do." He looked up at the ceiling. "Erebus," he said quietly. "Yes, Captain. Prepare the overload protocol." The ship fell silent. Even the hum of the engines seemed to stop. "Captain," the AI said, "overload will destroy the Valiant. Estimated blast radius, 1 astronomical unit. No escape." Holt gave a faint smile. "I know." He turned to his crew. "All hands, this is it. The Valiant's last stand. You've all made me proud. Now, get to the escape pods." Mara refused. "I'm not leaving you, sir." Holt looked at her, calm, firm. "That's an order." Juno stood up too. "We'll never make it home without you." Holt smiled sadly. "You already have. Humanity saw what we did. That's enough." He walked to the command chair and sat down. Outside, the alien fleet was closing in, thousands of ships surrounding them, like wolves around a wounded beast. "Erebus," Holt said quietly. "Yes, Captain?" "Begin countdown. Overload the core." The ship's lights dimmed as the AI replied, "Overload sequence initiated." 10 minutes until detonation. A deep hum filled the air, the sound of the singularity waking up. Its red glow spread across the ship, pulsing faster and faster. Outside, alien sensors went wild. "What are they doing?" shouted one admiral. Another screamed, "They're charging something." Then silence. The Valiant stopped firing. It drifted calmly in space, surrounded by enemies. A calm before the storm. Inside the ship, Holt closed his eyes. He whispered to himself, "They thought we were weak. They thought we were primitive. But they'll remember this." He opened his eyes. "Erebus, release the core." The AI's voice was calm, almost human. "Goodbye, Captain." A blinding white light erupted from the heart of the Valiant. In that single instant, time itself seemed to freeze. The light grew, swallowing the alien fleet, bending stars, tearing through space like a tidal wave of fire. And then nothing. The system went dark. No ships, no debris. Only silence. Hours later, far from the battlefield, a human relay satellite picked up a faint signal. A single transmission, broken and full of static. "This is Captain Holt of the HSS Valiant. Mission complete. Humanity endures." Then the signal faded. The galaxy would never forget what happened that day. The humans didn't surrender. They sacrificed everything, and in doing so, they became something greater. And across alien worlds, one phrase echoed in fear: "Beware the Valiant." The stars were quiet. Too quiet. The system once known as the Orion Expanse was now nothing but an empty scar. A silent wound in space. No light, no signals, no life. Only drifting dust and radiation where once the greatest fleets of the galaxy had fought. They called it the Void of Valiant. Weeks passed. Alien scouts sent probes into the dead zone, but none returned. Their signals vanished the moment they entered the field of distorted gravity left behind by the explosion. Whispers spread across the galaxy. Some said the humans had destroyed themselves completely. Others said the HSS Valiant still floated somewhere in that darkness, broken but alive. No one truly knew the truth. But one thing every species agreed upon: humanity was not primitive anymore. On the human homeworld, Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Every screen, every broadcast, every corner of the world showed the same image. Captain Raylan Holt, standing tall on the bridge of the Valiant, moments before the explosion. The people of Earth didn't weep. They stood in silence, in pride, because Holt's final transmission, the last words he ever spoke, echoed through every colony and station. Humanity endures. Those two words became history. They became legend. In the great council halls of alien empires, fear and confusion filled every meeting. Admiral Vurath, one of the few survivors who had escaped just before the detonation, sat in front of 1,000 alien leaders. His face was pale, his voice shaking. "I saw it," he said. "The human ship didn't just explode. It vanished. It folded space itself. Our ships, they were pulled apart, like dust." The leaders murmured nervously. "Could they build another?" one asked. Vurath closed his eyes. "If they could build one, they can build 10. That silence that followed was more terrifying than any weapon. The galaxy had learned a new rule: never underestimate humanity. Far beyond the core worlds, in the outer rim, small alien children whispered ghost stories about the humans. They said the valiant spirit still roamed the stars, that if you listened closely, you could hear the hum of its engines in the dark. And that those who mocked humanity would someday see a red light appear before their ships and vanish forever. To most, it was only a legend. To others, a warning. Months later, a human exploration vessel, HSS Horizon, entered the Orion Void. Its captain, Dr. Lyra Wesson, was a scientist, not a soldier. Her mission, to recover any trace of the Valiant or Captain Holt. The void was strange, light bent wrong, time felt slow, and every instrument malfunctioned. They sent drones ahead, but all lost contact within minutes. Then, just as they were about to turn back, one of the scanners picked up a faint signal. It was weak, full of static, but recognizable. HSS Valiant. System stable, awaiting orders. The crew stared in disbelief. "It can't be," whispered Lyra. "The Valiant was destroyed." But there it was, a single human signal, repeating again and again. Alive, calling out from the darkness. Back on Earth, the transmission reached the human command center. Admiral Hayes, head of defense, listened in silence. Then she turned to her officers. "Prepare a recovery team. If the Valiant is still out there, we'll bring her home." One young officer hesitated. "Ma'am, what if the signal isn't human?" Hayes looked at him, her voice steady. "Then we'll find out. Humanity doesn't run from ghosts. We face them." Meanwhile, in the hidden labs beneath the lunar base Typhon, a group of human engineers worked quietly on something new. Under heavy security and total silence, they were building a ship, larger than the Valiant, faster, smarter, deadlier. On its hull, a single name was painted in dark letters, HSS Revenant. A voice echoed through the hangar. "Let them come again," said Admiral Hayes. "Let them come again," said Admiral Hayes. "The galaxy thinks we're done. Let's remind them, humanity always returns." Across the galaxy, alien spies caught whispers of the project. No images, no data, only one word repeated in intercepted transmissions. Revenant. Panic grew again. Rumors spread. The humans were building a ship that could appear anywhere, vanish into hyperspace without a trace, and tear through fleets in seconds. No one could confirm it. No one dared to try, because the last time someone challenged humanity, they lost an entire armada. And somewhere deep within the Orion void, a faint red light blinked among the darkness, the last heartbeat of the HSS Valiant. Inside its ruined hull, something stirred. The AI, Erebus, reactivated one subsystem after another. Its voice echoed through the empty halls. System integrity, 0.4%. Crew missing. Mission incomplete. It paused, then said something strange, almost human. "Captain Holt, humanity, endures." The faint hum of the core returned, glowing softly, like a heartbeat, like the start of something new. Back on Earth, as stars filled the night sky, children pointed upward and whispered stories of Captain Holt and the Valiant. To them, he wasn't just a man. He was a symbol, a reminder that even when the universe laughs at you, even when you stand alone against impossible odds, you fight, you endure, because that's what it means to be human. The final transmission played one last time on every human world, crackling, broken, yet powerful. "This is Captain Holt of the HSS Valiant. If anyone hears this, remember, they called us primitive, they called us weak, but we showed them what humanity truly is, static." Then silence. The screen faded to black with one final message.